Hey there, this is Amelia here. Welcome to Amelia's crossdressing story. Today we are going to share a story called Petra's Shadow, A Boy Lost to the Night Part 1. By Teddy. For more interesting and exclusive stories, please subscribe to my channel and support me at Patreon. In the beginning. Samaritans, I'm Sam. How can I help you? You can't, nobody can, a voice said. I'm willing to try, if you'll let me. What can I call you? Peter, the voice replied. Hello, Peter, I'm Sam, I said. I'm going to kill myself, Peter said. I pressed a button which lit a lamp on the supervisor's desk. Why do you want to kill yourself? I asked, hearing the sound of sobbing from the other end of the phone line. I want to die, I want the pain to go away, Peter sobbed. I mean what I say, I've got a knife. Shit, this was really serious, I thought. In my experience, using a knife was not a cry for help. It was terminal. How old are you, Peter? I asked, trying to keep him talking. 14. I pressed the button again and waved frantically at John, the supervisor. Peter, I'd like to meet you, can you tell me where you are phoning from? I gave John a sheet of paper. The color from his face drained as he read the note. 14-year-old boy threatening to kill himself with a knife. I think he's serious and I've got to get to him, be prepared to take over. John nodded his head in agreement. I'm not going to tell you. You'll only make me stop, Peter said. Peter, I only want to meet you, talk with you, face to face. Maybe buy you a coffee or even a Coke, I answered. You won't try and stop me? Peter, I only want to have a talk with you. See if we can't work this thing out, I answered. He gave me the location of the phone box, it agreed with the information I had. I could see the phone box's telephone number on my display and I had checked this against the list supplied by British Telecom. But I wanted Peter to trust me and this was the start of that trust, the gaining of which was vital. Peter, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'd like you to talk to a friend of mine. He's called John. Promise me you'll talk to him? Okay. I promise. I passed the phone to John and ran to my car. John was good, but I had to get there in time. I drove like a bat out of hell. Fortunately, it was 3 in the morning and there was no traffic around. The blue lights in my rear view mirror surprised me. Damn! I swore. I stopped, got out and dashed to the police car. Showing my ID to the police officer, I said, Sorry, officer. I've got a 14-year-old boy who's threatening to kill himself. I'm trying to reach him before he does. Before the officer could answer, my mobile rang. Excuse me. Sam here, yes, John, shit, okay, keep him on the line. I'm sorry about that, it looks like we are close to losing him, I've got to get to him. Look, can I report to a police station later today and complete any paperwork? I handed the officer one of my cards. Luck was with Peter that morning. That won't be necessary, sir. Be careful how you drive and please save him. The officer was thinking of his own 14-year-old child. I'll try and thanks, I said and sped off into the night. A few minutes later, I arrived at the phone box and saw it still occupied. I phoned the office. Chris, Sam. Tell John I've arrived and ask him to warn Peter of my approach. I didn't want to scare Peter any more than he was. I waited 30 seconds and approached the phone box. As I neared, I could see Peter's problem. As soon as I was near enough, I called his name, softly. Peter? The boy turned and I opened my arms in what I hoped would be a friendly manner. Sobbing, he dropped the phone, ran to me, and cried on my chest. I let him cry before going to the phone box and picking up the phone. We're coming in, he'll need a doctor, I said and hung up. I picked up the knife and led Peter back to my car. As he got in the front, I put the knife out of harm's way, in the boot. Once back at the office, Chris and I took Peter to a private room and he sat in a comfy chair. Tea, coffee, or Coke? Chris asked. Tea, please, Peter answered and then thought, I need warming up. This dress is more suited for warm days than chilly nights. Chris went to make the tea, but left the door open. She knew I wouldn't leave Peter alone. Peter was surprised. These people, the ones with him now, were the first ones not to ridicule him or laugh at him or even hit him. Chris brought the tea and some biscuits and then sat quietly in a corner. We had to protect each other, Peter from me and me from Peter. This way, no one could say that I had molested Peter. Peter, do you want to tell me about it? I asked gently. About what? Peter asked. About why you want to kill yourself. My parents came back early and caught me. Mom walked out of the room saying I wasn't her son anymore and Dad. Peter paused, started crying and continued, Dad just kept hitting me. Why did Mom say that? I can put up with Dad hitting me, but why did she say that? Chris went over to Peter and he put his head on her chest and bawled his eyes out. You poor child, she said softly, almost motheringly. You have a good cry, will feel better after. We let Peter have a real good cry. Chris mouthed, I hate his parents to me. I knew what she was saying, I just could not understand how someone could say that to a vulnerable and impressionable child. But we were professionals and we wouldn't let our feelings cloud the issue, we couldn't afford to. Peter's life was at stake. We may have stopped this attempt, but unless we could help him find a solution, there could be other attempts and it only needs one to succeed. It didn't bear thinking about. That's why I volunteered to be a Samaritan. I couldn't bear the thought of someone needlessly throwing his or her life away. I had to help, needed to help, and Peter needed that help more than most. There was a knock on the door. I opened it and John told me the doctor was here. I wanted to be sure there was no obvious injuries. Without x-rays and tests we wouldn't be sure, but... Peter, I'd like our doctor to have a quick look at you. Don't worry, she's very nice. Would that be okay? Chris will be with you, I asked. Peter nodded and, after I let the doctor in, I went to find John. I think we are going to have to get the RSPCC and social services involved, John, I said. He's told us that his dad hit him several times. I'll contact them now and get someone over right away. Thanks, let's hope we get a sympathetic social worker. I don't want to lose him, I said. It's not that social workers were unsympathetic, but they did have a very big caseload and this one was awkward. Not everyone, like Peter's parents demonstrated, handled the fact that he was wearing girls' clothes well. There were a lot of prejudiced people about. How did I know? From first-hand experience. You see, I'm a transvestite and it happened to me. Okay, not as young as Peter, I was too scared to tell anyone until I was 20 and had left home. But the turmoil inside of me, the constant pressure to appear normal, my parents' and friends' rejection of me, the pain of not being able to be dressed how I wanted, all these factors drove me to the brink of suicide. I knew what Peter was going through, what I didn't know was whether he would survive. It had been touch and go with me. If it hadn't been for my wife, Chris. Sam's story. What do you mean, you want to know about my attempt? Look, this is about Peter, not me. Oh, alright then, we have a little time while the doctor examines Peter. I was 23, had a well-paid job with a well-known retailer and had loads of friends. I had also been dressing since I was 10. My sister was a year older than me and I had access to her cast-offs. Not that she or Mom knew, of course. Over the years I had managed to keep my little stock of girls' clothes hidden and I had gotten very accomplished at girl things. I knew how to apply makeup and what styles and colors suited me. It wasn't easy, but I had my sister as a role model. I took note of what she was doing, read her magazines, when everyone was out, and just copied everything she did, surreptitiously of course. I did well at school and got a job as a trainee manager. I still lived at home, but wasn't dating anyone. I completed my training and became a manager at a city center shop. Things were going well and I had lots of friends, at least I thought I did. Then came that fateful night. Mom and Dad were out and Sis had already left home. I was alone and decided to get dressed. I hadn't had the opportunity for a while and I was getting tetchy. I got out my meager stock of female things and had a shower. After drying, I put on my one and only bra and knickers, filling the bra cups with foam inserts. Black tights, white blouse and black skirt, and I was ready for my makeup. I couldn't afford a wig, but I did have some flat heel court shoes. Looking in the mirror only confirmed what I knew I would see, a short-haired young woman. I spent the evening watching television and I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew was hearing a loud shriek. "Sam, what do you think you are doing?" Mom yelled at me. "What is wrong with you?" My father said angrily. "We never raised you to be like this. Where did we go wrong?" Mom said. "Pervert," Dad said. I saw the loathing in Dad's eyes coupled with a look of horror on his face. Mom's eyes had that sad look about them, the look that mothers who have lost their sons in road accidents have. They were dead and lifeless eyes. I ran out of the living room in tears. I'd cried all night and, by morning, had packed my things into my car and drove to work. I looked terrible. I found a small guest house to stay in and tried to carry on with my life. One by one, my friends drifted away, found reasons not to be seen with me. The atmosphere at work became increasingly tense and strained. Eventually, they told me they had to let me go. No reason was given, but I knew. I knew the reason why. Why I wasn't welcome at home, why I was about as inviting as a 4-day-old corpse. Why I was avoided like the plague, why I had to take to living in my car. Then late one night, I walked to an isolated beauty spot. I had to walk, as I couldn't afford petrol for my car. I had made up my mind, I knew what I was going to do. I noticed the phone box. That's all for now. See you in the next video. For more interesting stories, please subscribe to our channel, and for exclusive content, please join us on Patreon. Link in the comment.